Welcome into the Chasing Trails podcast, brought to you by St. John Trail Running and powered by Resilience Through Fitness. Join two middle-aged dads as they sit down and talk trail running, life, and everything in between. Now, here are your hosts, Jeff LeBlanc and Brandon Thompson.
Welcome in, everyone. It's another episode of the Chasing Trails podcast. You've got Jeff and Brandon here. We're ready to chat and talk about trail running and life and all things in between. Jeff, it's great to see you. It was a little weird riding solo without you during the interview for today, but we're back in the saddle again. It's good to have you on, man.
Yeah. Glad you were able to survive without me. It'll be interesting. I'll get to watch the podcast, and I'll have already watched it once or listened to it. I don't ever watch myself on screen. I can't do it, but I'll give it a listen. It'll be like I'm, a new listener to the show. So it'll be good.
That's right. It was. I just explained to our guests that you just watch and look creepy, in the interviews anyway. So it wasn't like a huge loss. But
great first impression that you left the
that's
right. Voyeur's not here, so you guys are safe tonight.
That's right. Jeff and his voyeurism won't be here tonight, so you guys should be all right. We do have a great episode today, and we'll get into that in just a few minutes. But Jeff, we should just check in. How are you feeling? We're getting ready for Looney Loops, which is coming up faster than we want to admit. How are you feeling about it?
I feel like I need more than 7 weeks to get ready. But I was out on the weekend and got some good training in out at Woolstook, and then my Achilles and my ankle were killing me, so I haven't done much the rest of the week. So that seems to have flared back up randomly. I don't know. It was sore after Rockwood, and then it was fine for like a month, and then all of a sudden now it's angry again. So anyway, no big deal. I got a new brace, and it seems to be working. So I got to call in the physio, and so we'll get that fixed up. But we'll see what it does come Rockwood. Looney Loops. The good news is it doesn't hurt when I run at all. I could run all day. Like at Rockwood, it didn't hurt while I was running. The blisters hurt, but like my actual Achilles and the heel itself that seemed to have pain, like no pain while I'm running. It's just the next morning where everything tightens up that it just aches. So anyway, I gotta get better at rolling it out, and I've been using the lacrosse ball a little bit more and stuff like that. So I got a couple treadmill runs in this week, and I did get out for a nice long run last weekend. I plan to get out this weekend too. I think we're supposed to do 35K this weekend. Did you look at that?
Yeah,
it's sick. Long day, buddy. It's a long day.
I've got a like family pool party with Natalie's extended family on Saturday, so I got to figure out how to squeeze that in. It looks like it's going to be a Sunday long run for me, so that'll be hopefully the weather will cooperate. But
hopefully it's not too warm. Yeah,
it's gonna be hot over the next little while, so we'll have to.
Yeah. I'm gonna try not to burn myself out on Friday afternoon. I got a client engagement on a golf course, so it is with clients, so like it's actually work, but it's supposed to be 42 degrees or something like that, and it's like, man, after 5 hours of golf, get up Saturday morning and go running for 35K, I feel like it's gonna be all order, but we'll see.
What about the cart girl will be busy that night, or that day, I'm sure.
It's crazy how busy that they'll be with the beverages on a Friday afternoon when it's 41 degrees. Well, it'll be one or the other. It'll either be dead at the course because people will say it's too hot, or it'll be packed and it'll be really busy. Depends on how much humidity there is. I think it said it's supposed to be like, feels like 42 at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. So that's going to be a tough slog, and which means Saturday morning I better be up early because
early.
Well, neither of us got up early last Saturday, and we both...
No, and we paid the price.
Yeah, we both regret it.
It's just like, man, I'm having a hard time getting going. It's just an excuse, but I just want to dawdle and drink my coffee and sit on the porch, and I figure I got all the time in the world. The next thing you know, I'm out at 11, and it's just so hot by that point in time. You're just like dying, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. And I wonder why I feel so sluggish. It's because you're running in like 90% humidity, and it just feels gross. But it is a part of maritime summer. But it's how we roll. I got something to tell you though, Jeff. I bought a pair of New Balance Rebels. I got them off of Colin Swift, who was selling some of his
shoes. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I got.
Oh man, they're awesome. They're like running on clouds, and so I've been enjoying those because a lot of my weekly training is on the road because I just don't have the time to get to the trails, and so like even my hills are all in town, and so I need a pair of like road shoes to kind of keep the lugs on my trail shoes from wearing out, and it's been fantastic. Like it's like a new lease on life. Like I've just been bouncing around like I got springs on, and so highly recommend the New Balance Rebels. I think mine are I can't remember, they're 4 or 5s. I think they're 4s, and they've just been great. So that has got me a little bit more excited to run on the road, but it does kind of help with just even wear and tear on the old knees and everything else. So
absolutely, I looked through the used shoes that he had, but I have big feet, so.
You have canoes.
Work out. But while we're speaking of shoes, I have a pair of Hoka Bondi 9s, like the newer Hokas that are size 12 with like 110 miles on them that I hate. I think cause some of these Achilles problems. So if anyone's listening and they want a pair of road running Hokas, let me know, because I'll bring them to the next race and you can have them if you can remind me, because they're just sitting downstairs in a pile right now, and I keep forgetting that I have them, and you just made me think of them. So anyway, if I'm listening and want a pair of shoes from the Chasing Trails, folks, I will gladly pass them on.
You could even sign them. That would like up the value of them. A signed pair of Hoka Bondis from Jeff LeBlanc and the Chasing Trails crew. Yeah. So that could be fun.
As long as it doesn't bring you bad luck with your Achilles.
That's right. Or all of a sudden slow your time way down. Like these elite runners are down the back of the pack. It's like these killer shoes.
Yeah. Cody, if you wear a size 12 and you're listening to this, I want you to try these shoes on. There's something wrong with them, Prove me wrong.
Well, one of the things we wanted to let the viewers know about too is we actually were interviewed for another podcast. The podcast is called The Tribe of Runners, hosted by Liz Myers, and she's based in Florida. And so it was kind of this unique experience where we got to actually be on the other side of the microphone, so to speak, and get interviewed. And so it came out today, this week, for those of you who are listening. And it was kind of neat because, one, you get to share someone else's material, but also it feels a little cringy even just to watch yourself answer some of the questions. But, we had a lot of fun doing it, and Liz is a great host. Like, it made it really easy to talk. But sometimes, Jeff, I don't know, it just feels different when you're not the one asking the questions. Like, it feels like you're a little bit exposed.
Yeah. I mean, I don't ever ask the questions, so I don't know, but it felt semi-normal for me. I listened to it today, though. I did listen to it today, and I feel like I feel like we did a good job. Like, I listened not to toot my own horn, but it was a good show. I was pleased.
Yeah, we have to compete with that like Couch to Cocodona guy, and he was the week before, and then she must be in like this amateur, like, I don't know, Clydesdale like mode right now, because she's got this one guy who's like just learning how to run.
She's got a type right now.
That's right. She must have to meet like some quota or whatever. Must have so many, Clydesdale runners by a certain time. But anyway, it was good. So we highly recommend that podcast. She'll be on our show later on. And so we're excited to have her, she's an accomplished athlete on her own, also a coach, and has this podcast. And so it was great to chat with her.
Somehow we were on her podcast and managed to give her some homework. So
yeah, that's right.
Because we're selfish like that. Yeah.
so it could be a lot of fun when she comes on, and
Yeah.
she lives in Florida, and so I've got all sorts of Florida questions for her. It's gonna be lots of fun.
There you go.
But today, though, Jeff, we have some great runners on the show, and I'm super excited to introduce them. We've got Rachyl McPhail and Liz McDonald, who are both based out of the HRM area, connected with our good friends at All Out Racing. So shout out to them, and have accomplished some pretty big stuff. So Liz just came in fourth at the QMT 135, so the 135 distance. She's the fourth overall female. And then Rachyl has just completed the, I'm going to get this wrong, no, Locomotion 600, which is this bike race that goes from, the Citadel Hill in Halifax to Shediac and back. And she came in, I think in the top 20 there, I think maybe 12th or something like that overall for this race. And so just these amazing athletes who are also tackling the Seawall FKT. And we're going to get into that into the interview. And so it's just really cool to have that conversation. And I didn't know this till after the fact when we talked with them, but Liz also holds the record for the bootstrap boogie. And so, I mean, we're talking about some really quick people and really great athletes. And so they fill us in on all their adventures. And so it's a great conversation with them. I'm sorry that you missed out on this one, Jeff. You'll enjoy it as we hear them for the first time. And so we'll turn it over to our conversation with Liz and Rachyl. All right, everyone, we are super pumped to welcome Liz and Rachyl into the Chasing Trails studios tonight. Liz, Rachyl, we are so thrilled to have you in and just sharing some of your amazing adventures that you're taking part in and all the racing that you've been doing and just representing Nova Scotia. And so thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having us. This is awesome. Yeah, super excited to be here and talk about what we've been up to lately.
Yeah, and there's been a lot, which we'll get to. But we always like to start off each episode with just hearing your running story. Like, just tell us how you got into running, what is it you love about it, and just what it means to you. And so, Liz, do you want to start us off? How did you get into trail running and running in general?
Sure, yeah. I guess to go way back and just kind of get into how I got into running in general. It's actually kind of a funny story. I was a soccer player, and in high school, kind of, was hanging around with a fun crowd, I guess you could say. And I got caught drinking, actually, and was grounded. And so to ease my grounding, my mom kind of bribed me into going out and trying out for cross country and track and field. Nice. And so kind of, hesitant about doing it, but kind of, had a reason to, I guess. And so went out, did well, like my first year in track, and then kind of just really got into it from there. And so I've been running ever since. Went on to run in, finished high school and university. And, after university got into marathons and kind of still road running and races. But it wasn't until kind of COVID, I call it my little COVID crisis. I moved to Newfoundland to kind of spice up my life a bit. And there, just because, again, the nature of COVID and not being able to do a whole lot in a group setting, I ended up getting into a small trail group there. And so I was on the east coast of Newfoundland in St. John's, and they have the East Coast Trail there. So I got my, endless options in terms of trails right at my fingertips. And so that's really kind of where my love for trails began, and kind of been taking that route ever since.
Yeah, we've had a couple of folks from Newfoundland just talk about the East Coast Trail and just share their love for that whole scene, and it's amazing space to run. I mean, it's just so rugged. That's a great way to get introduced to trails.
Exactly. Yeah. I would say that, some of my skill in terms of technical footwork was probably developed early from the trails there.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Rachel, what about you? How'd you get into running?
Yeah, similar to Liz, I started running because of soccer. My coach, when I was 15, he asked me to go for a 10K race with him in Bedeck on Canada Day. He
Nice.
ended up puking and I kept going. I crossed the line as second woman, I think, and from that day on, I was hooked. The community in Cape Breton was incredibly supportive and inspired me to stick with running through junior high and high school, where I ran track and field and cross country, but I also played soccer and basketball. In grade 12, I decided to just focus on running to try to improve my times and find opportunities to run at different universities. So from there, I ended up going to the University of Guelph, only to face the hard reality of no longer being the fastest. So it turned out pretty quickly, struggled to trust the coaches, and kind of lost the joy and that in running. But that's like the start of a complicated relationship with running. But after graduating from Guelph, I decided to go to Fanshawe College to specialize in GIS. And when I was there, I joined the cross country team with one clear goal, and it was just to help the team win nationals. It felt good to work together towards a shared goal, and the joy of running began to return again. And as things were kind of falling into place, unfortunately, my body started to betray me. So I ended up getting diagnosed with lupus. So that's an autoimmune disease that attacks your own tissues and organs, and it attacked my muscles and joints. So I couldn't even really lay in bed without being in extreme pain. So that sport, running, felt impossibly far away. In 2020, I moved back to Nova Scotia, and I hadn't run since being diagnosed, but I was following the Halifax Hares on Instagram and decided that on Canada Day weekend, just after weeks of moving back from Ontario to Halifax, I showed up, and that run changed everything. I had never experienced so much joy in a single run. There was something about the trails, the people, like us just laughing, and like the dirt underneath my feet that made me feel so alive in a way I hadn't felt in years. And so I was hooked again.
Amazing.
It was short-lived, but I ended up getting injured again.
I understand totally. I totally get it. Yeah.
I started testing the waters once or twice a week with running, but I found myself pulled towards other ways of moving, biking, kayaking, other endurance adventures that kept me connected to the outdoors and to myself. But deep down, I always knew I would return to running when my body was ready. I just had to wait for the right moment. So that actually ended up being in 2024. So just this past fall, I found my way back to the Hares, showing up almost every Wednesday. The group that was once 10 when I first showed up had grown to 50. And in that crowd, I found some of my closest friends, Liz included. It reminded me that running could be about community and connection and just joy. So in February, I decided to hire a coach, David Bowman, with a quiet goal in mind of running 20K without fear or like worrying if my body would fail me. Basically to run just because I love it. And I also set a big goal to train for my first ultra, which is coming up in 2 weeks.
Oh man, that's exciting.
Yeah. So since then I've been running consistently for months, a couple ankle rolls, life challenges, but I keep coming back because running is kind of just like a best friend. It's like patient and steady, and it's always there, just to remind me that I'm still me. And like, I don't know why I keep coming back. People may think I'm nuts, but every time I lace up and step outside, it really feels like coming home. So
that's amazing, because I don't hear it very often, people describing running as like this this best friend. It's usually like this love-hate relationship that people have with it. Like some people hate the actual running, but love how they feel after, or,
Yeah.
they're just the constant struggle and the suffering that comes with it when you're going for, like, especially those longer distances. So it's super refreshing to hear someone who's, got this almost like this, friendship with running. And I suppose when it gets taken away from you, like with health challenges and stuff like that, it changes the way
It
you
does.
perceive it. Is that true? Is that true for you?
Yeah. It makes me really grateful when I can run. And also, like, you take time away from it, kind of like a best friend sometimes. And no matter what, when you come back to it, yeah, there's a little bit of growing pains and awkwardness, but it's easy to find your way if you have that structure in place.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Awesome. And just before we switch gears here, what ultra are you training for, which is coming up?
I'm signed up for Capes.
Oh,
So
yeah. Oh, that's a
actually
good one.
my first ultra. So
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That terrain is so wild. Like it is a rugged terrain, but it is gorgeous. There are some amazing spots there. So, I'm pumped for you. That's going to be fun. Yeah, it's a great spot. But anyways, Liz, it feels like just a couple, doesn't feel that long ago, but QMT was just a couple weekends ago, and how you raced in QMT. So how are you feeling? What was your experience like? And tell us all about that experience for you.
Yeah, sure. First, I want to say it's hard to follow after Rachyl. She's such a good speaker.
You're doing great. You're doing great, Liz.
Sometimes, and who doesn't?
Yeah, that's all right. Go for it.
But yeah, no, QMT. So it was, my first 100+ K race. I have done ultras, or I guess you could call them sub ultra distances. Really the most I'd ever run before that was 80K for, what was it, the pick and shovel. So like almost like a backyard style race on, much nicer, friendlier terrain, I guess you would say. So kind of going into it, I was certainly, I'm one to kind of just say, oh, like, yeah, sign me up, I'll do it, and not really think too much about it. I, feel like I could just jump in and do anything. I guess that's part of my naivety, and then it's not like until closer to an event starts to come that I really start to think about what this means. And so I think when I finally downloaded the GPX file and saw all of the kilometer markers ticking, it really started to kind of sink in for me of, what kind of the distance you're going to be covering and just how many kilometers it is. So yeah, QMT this year, it had always been 100-mile event, or their longest race was always 100 miles. But this year they had a new course of 137K. It just worked out in terms of, time of the year. And for me with races, I would have liked to do the 100 miles to kind of, say that you did that. Because here I feel like, you ran a really long distance, but it still wasn't quite 100
right.
miles. Yeah. So kind of went into it, obviously super excited to take on a new challenge, but really didn't know what to expect. I would say, I also, for the first time in this build, worked with a coach, whereas previously I kind of tried to manage with like my road running workouts and then time on trail and trying to piece together something myself just with, experience. But yeah, I had kind of worked with a coach, my friend Riley, who's based out of BC. And so it was really kind of great to have that structure and direction. And I really kind of scaled down like my road work. I had, done marathons in the past, but really have kind of steered towards trail the last year. But so he really helped kind of, again, provide that structure and training. But also I would say my training going into QMT wasn't kind of, optimized in a way of that I wasn't focused just on running. Riley really helped me kind of find a balance, which I've always kind of lacked. Unlike Rachel, I haven't really taken time away from running from as long as I can remember. I've been running, and I can't remember the last time I took more than 2 weeks off.
Wow.
So I've actually been trying to find more of a life balance with running, friends, and activities. So I did, a lot of biking, a lot of activities, and that were still very endurance based, but less running focused, which was actually a kind of a refreshing approach for me. As the days started to get closer to QMT, I think naturally, as everyone might do, you start to worry and question, did I do enough? My longest run, I think, was the Seawall. And I don't even know if you can call that running. But yeah, so, I did have a lot of miles in terms of biking and running, but was definitely a little worried. But ultimately just kind of trusted what, the plan was. And it was funny, like Rachel had just done locomotion, which she'll get into talking to later. But I remember asking her, just having a conversation on one of our runs, because so lucky to have her join me for some of my training. Just like about what her biggest takeaway was about with her, really hard epic adventure that she had just done. And she had kind of mentioned, she had a busy week leading up to, and she just really wanted to take away having fun, and had that kind of mindset about the enjoyment of the process the whole time. And so I really kind of went into QMT with that same focus, which, I think really just took pressure off and allowed me to enjoy it. So yeah, that was really kind of big. And then, kind of went in with no expectations, and it ended up kind of turning out really well for me. But to kind of, talk about the event itself, really amazingly run. It was neat, like logistically starting at night. I really didn't know how I would do with that. And it turns out it was very hard for me. I got to the start line, like you take a bus out at like 6:30 and you arrive at this hotel. And so I was just there for 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours until the start. Luckily I made a friend and we were chatting, and we just chatted about everything but running. So that really killed time and was nice to kind of ease the nerves. But yeah, I think by the time I got on the start line and, had to start, I was like, I'm just ready to go to bed. I wasn't able to sleep at all the day before, because it's, in Quebec, quite hot and humid. And, I had a tent that day before, not like a hotel or anything like that. So my comforts leading up to, I would say, were lacking. So yeah, it was kind of a struggle through the night, but I remember I kept telling myself, you just need to get to morning, to light. But coming into the first aid station, I was having all of these feelings of like, I've never dropped out of a race before, but like, is this the one that I'm going to drop out of? Why? Right. Like, no one's holding me to this. But yeah, it's just funny, like how you really need to kind of set these goals. And, for me, it was just to make it to morning at that point. And then I found myself, after I saw my crew at my first aid station, how much that can really kind of change your whole mindset around.
Yeah.
So that was like a big thing for me. It was kind of an immediate instilled kind of like, better energy and just like ready to kind of, okay, yeah, like get back into it. So I left that aid station, and I had separated from a girl that was kind of with me for a good chunk of the night, and ended up finding myself with these two guys who spoke French. We didn't really, exchange many words, but I think it was just like the presence there of people. And then the sun started to come up, and it was just beautiful. And so it was a really runnable section, and it just kind of reset. And from there on, I would say the rest of it was like yes, this is me. I'm back into it. And just kind of kept taking each section as its own challenge, which it absolutely was, from, super muddy to extremely technical. Then it got extremely hot in the day, like later on in the day. But yeah, for me, it really was, kind of what I said, remembering what Rachyl said, just enjoying the whole process, and taking it all in. The views kind of, were stunning. The course itself was so unique because different sections from one aid station to the next was so different. So yeah, I, all in all, had an amazing experience. I would say kind of some big takeaways were just, what people tell you, you can go through all different types of emotions in an ultra. And so just kind of, not acting on the emotion that you might be feeling, but just, going back to trying to find why you're doing this and what you're enjoying, or why you enjoy. Yeah. And then another big thing for me was kind of trusting yourself. And when I was feeling good, I made a move that I think it was with just about, I think I still had like 10K to go until I was at 100K. And I was with the fourth place woman, who was registered as an elite. So I was kind of like, I have no business kind of being right on her butt. But I was for the last, 20 or 30K. I can't remember exactly. But I was feeling pretty good, and it was going up a climb. And I was kind of like, if I go now, like, this might be the chance to kind of separate, but this also could very much blow up. And, you still have X amount till the base of Mont Saint Anne, and then you have to climb Mont Saint Anne and do 37 more K, almost a marathon.
Yeah. Right.
So anyways, it ended up, going well, and it broke off. So I think that was like a big thing for me, because often I would say maybe I like lack a little bit of confidence, or I would kind of, sit back a little bit more. So I think for me, it was a big takeaway, I would say, that I'm going to bring to future races, just to, have more confidence in my ability and fitness, and kind of go for it when you're feeling good.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's
amazing. That's a great takeaway. That's a great one. I mean, because it's that confidence level is so important when you're going through some hard stuff. Like, it's just a big deal. So yeah, that's fantastic. I cut you off. Sorry. Is there anything else, Liz?
No, that's okay. And I guess just in terms of like overall, I've done many races, but I think this would have to be like the funnest build I've had yet. And I think it goes back to what Rachyl said earlier about community and like why you do all this. So many of my runs were done with friends, and even I think in these longer ultra distances, you really kind of see and feel that with your crew, and like when you have your pacer there, kind of the joy that brings, and how it kind of like revives you, and you end up doing things that like you don't necessarily like. Maybe if you don't have the belief in yourself, having other people there that kind of reinstill that is huge. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's monumental. Why did you choose QMT? Can I ask? What was it about that race that you wanted to try and tackle?
Yeah, I would say so. I did the Squamish 50K last year, which was the Canadian Championships at that time, or that's where they were last year. And I placed 10th with that. And that was kind of without dedicated training. I had come off a big season, kind of feeling flat. And I just felt, I pulled this together. Like, what could I do if I was like dedicated to training, had a coach, and use this as my main goal? So originally I was going to do the QMT 50 and do it as the Canadian Championships and hope to kind of place well. But I ended up, applying via Elite, and I thought, I was a shoe-in to get that, no problems. And, I should have applied anyways and like paid for a registration, because if you paid for a registration and get the Elite, you just get reimbursed. But by the time I like decided, oh, I should just, secure my spot, it was sold out very quick.
Oh, yeah.
For,
Wow.
again, this is the 50K distance. So then I was just kind of like, well, what do I do now? And so I had kind of told myself, or had in the back of my mind, I feel that like I do have some speed, but I definitely feel that speed over distance is kind of, where it's this like sweet spot for me. And so I'd always kind of thought that I would move up eventually. So I was, 50K championships not going to be for me this year, I guess. Why don't I just move up in distance? So I was just looking at races and it just made the most sense. And I also thought, based on the East Coast terrain here that we have, with being like quite technical, and I had done Snowdonia, which was a ultra in Wales, which was also extremely technical and a lot of climbing. I thought I would be like well suited for the QMT course, just from a natural like comfort level and what I feel I'm good at. So I just kind of went for it.
Wow. That's amazing, just to be able to say, all right, I'm going to adapt. We're going to go to this different distance and just kill it. Like I can't believe you guys could do that. Like I'll be like training my whole life for this 50. Be like, I'm going to do this 50. Oh, it's sold out. I guess not this year. Like, but you just like, no, I'll just go longer. Whatever. It's no big deal.
Well, it was also just kind of like, oh, well, if I can't get into the 50 via elite, I'm going to show them that I want to be elite.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I'm here. Take notice. That's right. I am here. Like, exactly. Look at me. That's awesome. Something you two both mentioned that I just like to pick your brain about, and that was you both mentioned coaching. And can you talk to us about just what? I mean, because a lot of us will like who are just like the weekend warriors. We're always like you, Liz. Like we're just trying to cobble together like plans we get off the internet or experience and just trying to put those together. Can you just talk to us about, and both of you can share this too, just about how coaching has kind of helped you, maybe get through some of those things that you can't get through on your own? Like, have there been breakthroughs that you've experienced through coaching? I guess in a long way, I'm just asking, like, is it worth it? Like, is coaching worth the extra that you might pay? Or, if you've got a friend that's awesome who's a coach, you can just kind of hit them up. But like, can you talk us through that? Maybe Rachel, you go first, and then Liz, you can chime in.
Yeah, I think maybe why we both have coaches is because we grew up with coaches ever since we started running. I know for me, I'm just kind of used to that. And I had some bad coaches and I've had some great coaches. When I decided to start up running again, originally back in 2022, I didn't have a coach. And I was kind of just running with no goal in mind. And I decided to sign up for a 30K and basically didn't do the proper training and got injured. So I knew when I was going to be ready to come back to running, I was going to hire a coach. And it just so happened that David Bowman decided to start coaching, and he's a good friend. He's also just a huge cheerleader of what everybody's doing. So I knew it would be a good fit. And honestly, I'm not the greatest athlete to coach. I get up to some shenanigans. Locomotion were not on my training plan leading up to Capes. And David's like, you know what, Rachel, we're just going to make it work. And you're going to do great and you're going to crush it. And it's like, sometimes you just need that person in your corner. And also just like a little bit of accountability. It's like, oh, right. You know what? Maybe I don't want to go do these hill repeats today, but David's going to look and see that I didn't get them done. And he set out these like amazing spreadsheets for me to follow in terms of distance and elevation. And honestly, with me being so new to trail running, I don't really understand elevation and like what I should be hitting, but he does. So to have somebody with experience that have done like a lot of racing, really dives deep into like nutrition also and strength training. I think it's totally worth it because this is the first time I haven't been injured in a long time, and I'm running more than I ever have. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about you, Liz?
Yeah, like similar. I would definitely echo everything that Rachel has said. I also just think from, honestly, elites need in-depth individualized plans, but I think, the everyday weekend warrior, as you called it, also really benefit from that, almost even more so in the sense that, we have jobs, we have lives. It takes so much extra time and thought to really build a plan that's well thought out and is not going to be injury inducing.
Yeah.
And someone that really has like the knowledge to build. Of course you can do it and anyone can learn, but I think from like a time restraint perspective, having a coach is super beneficial from that point of view, as well as just kind of like a sounding board. You know, my coach, Riley, he was not like strict by any means and is super open to, do you want to do this adventure or these FKTs and how can we fit that in? And just, if I have this idea like, oh, on a weekend, I want to go out and attempt this FKT, is how can we make that work and make it fit with the workout that he had planned? So if you have some things that you're like, I think this could work, but like, what are your thoughts? I think that's where, coaches that again have that higher knowledge and can give you feedback or, just re-solidify what you were thinking or, advise you, no, that is really not a good idea.
Right. This is stupid. Don't do this. Like, this is stupid.
Especially when you just think that you can do everything and make everything work.
Right. Yeah.
That was the case. And much kind of like, with AI nowadays, you could search up anything and find, a plan, whether it be, a running plan or nutrition or whatever. But, I'm a dietitian myself. And I think that, having someone that focuses on you as, an athlete and like your needs specifically, it's super beneficial to kind of hire someone and invest in yourself. So yeah, from a coaching perspective, I think that it can pay dividends for sure.
For sure. That's good. Thanks. All right, Rachel, we're gonna walk in some unfamiliar territory here.
Oh, yeah.
because we are a trail running show, and we're gonna spend the next little bit talking about something that isn't trail running. Now that's not very different, but we're gonna talk about biking.
Yeah.
And unfortunately Jeff can't be here, but Jeff's the big biker in our duo here as co-hosts. But I could not get over this race. This sounds so crazy. This Locomotion 600, right? And if I get this right, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is biking from the Citadel Hill in Halifax to Shediac, and then back. Do you come back?
And back, yeah.
And back. Okay, on your bike. Okay, tell me about this. This is unbelievable. And what was that like for you?
So Locomotion 600 is organized by a friend, Ashley Miles. I think this was the 4th year that it's taken place. Most of the years it starts from Halifax and it goes out somewhere 600 kilometers and back to the Citadel. This year it was a 675 kilometer route that started in Halifax and went all the way to Shediac and back. So it's a self-supported ultra endurance bike ride. The route takes riders through like farmland, coastal stretches, small towns, and there's no aid stations along the way. There's checkpoints where there's some food and water, but basically it's just you, your bike, and what you can carry and what you can pick up at gas stations.
Wow.
You have 60 hours to complete the route. Some people take that entire time. Some people try to push through. It's basically designed to test your endurance. There's a lot of problem solving, as you can expect with bike mechanics. So basically, like, different than running, in that running is kind of more simple. You throw on your vest and your shoes and you're good to go. And like, a lot can go wrong in terms of nutrition, but bikes, it's like that was my biggest fear going into it. Was like, am I gonna stay in one piece during this, and will I be able to fix it? So basically, yeah, you just get to experience the Maritimes through these different routes that Ashley chooses. I signed up because I wanted to see what I was capable of on the bike. I love riding my bike, but I also love the idea of an adventure that's like a little bit intimidating,
Yeah.
where you don't know exactly how it will unfold. So Locomotion 600 was a easy way to step out of routine, embrace discomfort, and see what happens when I just keep pedaling through sunrise, sunset, and honestly, it was all through the night, which wasn't my plan, by the way, but I felt really good, and I had some Indie Club bangers in my ear.
Nice.
I just kept riding, and I had a freaking blast. I can't believe how much fun I had on that ride, and I want to do more in the future. I think it just comes down to that. I love a big day outside, and that's exactly what it was. It was longer than a day, and I was exhausted, but it was incredible. Yeah.
Wow. Can you think of like, what are some of your favorite parts that you went through as you were going through it? Or could you take it in? Like, were you just so focused on getting through it, or can you take in your surroundings in the area?
I was able to take it in. I'd say for the first section, leading into CP1. So CP1 was in Wentworth, Nova Scotia. It was just kind of grinding it out. Like, I didn't listen to music. I just kind of went with it. It was hot out, and the wind started picking up outside of Truro. So things really slowed down. My first 100 kilometers was the fastest 100 kilometers that I had ever done. And then it was like, whoa, back down to in the teens for the kilometers an hour. So Wentworth, and then getting to CP2, which was in Shediac, the sun started setting, and I was just shocked because that was the longest I have ever ridden. Before that, my longest ride was 250 kilometers, and that was over a year before the race even took place. So I didn't actually train that much for locomotion. Running, I think, helped with the training, but I didn't actually have that much time on bike. So I was just kind of going based off of general fitness. When I got to CP2, it was at a cottage, or like a cabin in a provincial park, and there was lights strung up, and the volunteers there were barbecuing and having a good time, and I was like, oh, I have to get out of here if I want to keep riding.
That's right.
I'm gonna stay here all night and just like
right.
party with these people and enjoy the fire.
Yep.
So it was really lovely to come upon all of my friends there and get that little boost of support.
Yeah.
But I knew that I wanted to keep going. And honestly, the night riding was my favorite section. I loved riding through the night. I felt like a magical fairy princess, like under the stars. There was fireflies. There was just cats roaming the street in front of me. And yeah, I decided to keep going. I actually did try to stop during the night, but it was too cold, and I had only brought in an emergency bivvy. And I was like, I just need to make it to morning, and when the sun comes up, I'll take a nap somewhere. So that's what I did. At CP3, which was in Earltown, right before a big gravel section, I decided to lay down for 15 minutes. And I was a new human after I woke up. I was like, this is the best thing ever. All I need is 15 minutes. But I started going through the gravel section, and honestly, I kind of took the turtle approach, and it worked out well because I was never going that fast, but because I chose to ride through the night, I caught a lot of people, and I had no clue what place I was in because I never checked the tracker, but I ended up being in 5th place in the morning.
Wow.
Which is not blew my expectations out of the water for my first time doing something like this. But basically my only goal then, I was getting like on the bike, I was feeling tired. So I knew I had to get to Musquodoboit Harbor and get some real food into me. So just kind of grinded through all the gravel in the hills, made it there, had a Tim's pizza for the first time and thought it was the best thing ever. I was like, this pizza's amazing. And people are like, no, Rachel,
No.
And then it rained for the first time on the route, and that brought me back into Halifax. But I think just like I enjoyed every little moment along the way, and I embraced how my body was feeling, and like I just get really grateful when my body cooperates with me, and I think that's because of like the past and struggles with lupus, and it just everything went smoothly. My bike I had no flats, and not every race is going to be like that. I know, but for that one, everything
awesome.
went perfect.
You can't beat that. You can't beat those perfect rides. So the reason we wanted to have you guys on the show was because we had heard about the Seawall FKT, this trail that you guys were trying to get the FKT on, and then it somehow got connected with Night of Adventure and grant money there as well. Can you just talk about what's the genesis behind the FKT, and then we'll get into the attempt itself. And so Liz, can you talk to us a little bit about how all that got started and what the Night of Adventure had to do with it and how they supported you guys as you made this attempt?
Yeah, I'll kind of get started as to how it all kind of came to life. Rachel and I are kind of newer friends, I guess, in the last year, and we just connected at Hares one night, and I forget how we got talking about it, but you had brought up the Seawall, and I was like, oh, I really want to do like the Seawall FKT. We had both had hiked it before, and I think just the competitive nature in myself, there was a standing FKT held by some guys that I wanted to tackle because I felt that I was, fitter and faster than these guys.
Yeah. All right.
And then, sure, it'd be no problem. And anyway, so Rachel and I got chatting. And yeah, from there, it just kind of, was a little bit of a dream that we had kind of talked about. Oh, maybe we should do it. And then, as the months kind of ticked by, we kind of got more serious. And our third kind of partner in crime, Colleen, who hasn't run a race really longer than 20K or run really longer than that ever. She's extremely fast on the roads, but likes, maxes out at the half marathon distance by choice. She kind of, heard us talking about it one day and chimed in and was like, oh, I'll do it too. And so we were like, oh, okay, sweet. And so she was actually the one who I think sparked the idea to, well, why don't we put it forward for the trail running grant with Night of Adventure. So I'll let Rachel kind of talk about what Night of Adventure is. She's, done her fair share of adventures and some of them supported by Night of Adventure. So she's a pro. She'll give a good rundown of what it is.
Yeah, this is kind of like a little plug for Night of Adventure because
awesome. Good.
He's a good friend, and it's this incredible live storytelling series based in Halifax, where every day people get up to share true stories about their outdoor adventures, like whether it's bike packing across Nova Scotia or a solar winter camp out or even a trip that went wrong. It's specifically for adventure stories, and the vibe is so warm and community focused. It always sells out. The whole idea is to bring people together to celebrate the spirit of adventure, inspire people to get outside, and remind us that you don't have to be a pro to have a story worth sharing. He hosts these events during the off season, which is basically like the winter months when people aren't just like go, go, go every week. There's even a film festival that will take place in the fall. What's also really cool which is what we applied for, they offer these grants to support grassroots adventure projects. So if you've been dreaming up a long ride or the Seawall FKT, you just need a bit of help to make it happen, you can apply. And it's such an awesome way to build community around adventure here in Halifax, and to get people inspired to do something big or small with their family or with friends or individually. Like, it's unbeatable. So
That's amazing. I mean, what a gift to be able to share those stories. I'd love to sit there and hear some of the stories that get shared, but also just to be able to endorse people to go and try them out themselves. Like, it's not just stories, it's like encouraging you to go live out those stories, right? And give them a shot.
Yeah, and
That's
I think
amazing.
It's really amazing too, and it's been good for me to attend quite a few of them. And oftentimes, I have this competitive nature and race and, achievement focused. But it's been really good for me to see that, it can be like so much more than that. Like, having a goal doesn't have to be about being the fastest or being the best. It's about, picking something that you're, really wanting to do, and more about like the adventure to get there rather than, your own personal kind of achievement, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
So that's been really, really cool. And
that makes a lot of sense. And it just shows like the dynamics of trail running, right? It can be one thing, but it can also be like a whole other thing as well. It's just like multifaceted, how it can be about this competition, pushing yourself, but it's also about, community, stretching yourself, and not just depending on, being number one. It's about, going through this together. And so, it's so dynamic. Like, it's just got so much to do with so many different areas of our lives, depending where we're at. It's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
But tell me about the adventure, if you can. Like, just fill me in on how to go. What was it like? And describe like the Seawall Trail for those of us like New Brunswickers. We don't know. Like, we don't know what this great gem of a trail is like. So give us kind of a picture of what it's like too, and just kind of walk us through what it was like. Oh, sorry, I'll go first. Rachel, can you start us off? Tell us how it went.
Yeah, I'll kind of give some background to it. So we attempted it the weekend of June 7th and 8th, this past June. The route is approximately 40 kilometers with nearly 3,000 meters of elevation gain. It runs point to point from south to north. You can do it north to south, but the FKT attempt is south to north. So it starts in Pleasant Bay and finishes in Meat Cove. It crosses the Pollett's Cove Aspie Fault Wilderness area, which means there's forested ravines, there's highland barrens, there's old growth pockets, there's just like ferns surrounding you.
Yeah.
There's like rocky coastal mountains, that's like the Seawall Mountain, and even some beach running. So approximately 15 kilometers of the trail is on existing trail. So some people that might know Pollett's Cove Trail, it's about 4 kilometers on that before you branch off and start bushwhacking up your first ascent. And it also comes out on Lowlands Cove Trail near the end, which is about 8 to 10 kilometers. But basically, the other 25 kilometers are mostly bushwhacking or runnable barrens, which is a vigorous burn on tired legs. So the FKT was actually 12 hours and 19 minutes, set by Johnny Mae and David Anderson back in October of 2023. So our goal was to beat that time. We ended up running it in 14 hours and 34 minutes. So we were a bit off, but I think we learned a lot out there. And also in attempting this FKT, we did set a women's FKT, which will hopefully inspire more people to get out there and do this. I know exactly where our kilometer pace went off of theirs. So Liz, are we going
Jump
down?
in, Liz. Go ahead, Liz. Jump in. Tell us.
Well, yeah, no, I just first off was extremely humbled by the trail. From a running perspective, again, I had hiked it before, and maybe time makes you forget things. But I had just, figured, you'd run every flat across the mountain. You would just bomb the downhills, and surely it would all just work out to come, well under this 12 hours and however many minutes of the current FKT. But that, wasn't the case. The runnable flats across the mountaintops were, I guess you could describe it as almost like big rocks but covered in grass, so they were real like ankle grabbers. So if you tried to run, you would just almost be rolling an ankle. And we all kind of had goals later on in the season, and maybe vulnerable ankles to begin with, so it that wasn't really a place to push. And then the descents, again, just the ferns and the rocks, and you couldn't really see your footing. So as much as you wanted to bomb the downhills, I was guilty for trying to push us, and then I'd roll an ankle and they would say, yeah, Liz, see, that's why we're not bombing these downs. So yeah, between those two areas, I would say, like, from my perspective, were like much slower than what I had anticipated in my head. Yeah, I don't know, Rachel, if you want to add any more specifics there.
Yeah, I think we underestimated the trail and it blew our expectations. You know what? I think the coolest part of this whole thing was that before we went out there, Liz said something about it being the funnest known time. And it truly was. But also, Liz and Colleen, I couldn't imagine going out with anybody else because they're two of the toughest women I know. They did not complain at all. Colleen was like the queen of scree, just like freaking climbing up these mountains, and Liz is just powering through, and like not a peep out of them. And like this was no joke. It was a long time on feet, a long time to spend in the woods with friends. But I think that's like the best part of it is that again, what do I love the most? A big day outside, and like a big day outside with friends is even better than just a big day outside. So
that's awesome. And just think about how much information you've gathered from it, how much you've learned from that. So the logical question is, like, is there going to be another attempt? Like, are you guys going to try and go for it again, or are we just going to let it cool down for a little bit? Have you talked about it yet? Have you guys talked about it yet?
It's kind of funny because I think we all had we were a team, and like the dynamic was great. And everybody brought something to the table. Like, I love mapping. My background's in GIS. Liz's nutrition. Like, I don't know what I would have ate without her input. And Colleen is just on it. She's like, we are booking all of these things, and we are going to be here at this time. And everybody provided something to the team. But I think we all had different goals going into it. So it'd be interesting to see, like, I want to try to do it again. The Seawall Trail holds like a very important, it's very important to me because actually it was on my list. I had this list of things when I had lupus that I wanted to do, and the Seawall Trail was one of them on that list, and I hiked it. I never thought in my life that I would do it in 14 hours and 30 minutes. So if I can go out and try to beat the FKT at some point, I would 100% go back, and I'd love to do it with these two, because I know what they're made of, and it's grit.
That's awesome. Liz, how do you feel about it? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I think we all like needed some time after. Like, we wouldn't go back and do it right away. But definitely it's the sort of thing, like, I would love to attempt it again. I think personally learned so much from that I would, I think I would be upset not to do it again and try to like apply some of the things that I learned. I really, being surrounded by Rachel and Colleen, they're so about the numbers and so like into it, which is amazing. And I've learned so much from that, and even took some of that into QMT, which, you know, maybe was helpful for the overall result. And so I think, you know, rather than just going in and attempting things blind, which, you know, sometimes has its beauty in its own sense, the really prepared or like well thought out plan can be extremely beneficial. So that's something that I've taken away from them, and I think would be helpful in terms of a second attempt, and really being able to kind of bring down that time.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah, working together and kind of taking lessons learned. Definitely would like to attempt it again. Yeah.
Well, you got 2/3 of the team here ready to go at it again. So I think the majority rules on this one. So we'll have to wait and see when the next time is. But ladies, it has been a pleasure talking with you guys. It's been so fun, and I'm amazed at your athletic abilities, and I cannot wait to see how you do it at Capes, Rachyl and Liz. I can't wait to see what you're going to be tackling next. It's going to be exciting to watch. And so thanks so much for being on the show with us and telling us about the great adventures you've been having.
Thank you for having us. And I just want to shout out to All Out. And
yes, that's right.
Night of Adventure, and also Arctic Maritimes, and
Made with Local
for supporting us on the Seawall, because like truly we wouldn't have been able to do it without all the support.
Yeah, they're amazing companies, amazing people behind them, and so definitely a great shout out. So thank you guys, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
1, 2